So we look forward to the second race. Remember, with the reverse grid, and a special hello to all the Andy Prio fans, especially those at his originating home in Guernsey, where David tells me he's returned to live in Guernsey now. So I think there's probably a whole island of Eurosport watchers there will have their fingers and toes crossed in the hope that he can be victorious. Thanks for joining us, but mind you, where else could you be? And there'll be not a few James Thompson fans there hoping also that, well, not in Guernsey perhaps, but certainly in Yorkshire, he'll be hoping that he can do his bit. The two British drivers on the front row, and I mean, they've got to have a bit to do there, aren't they? They're going to have a bit to do.
Yes, they're going to have a lot to do, whatever happens, because these cars, the two Works BMWs, going very quickly. But you heard Dirk saying that he wanted to change his car to make it a little bit better, and sure enough, they've got the suspension off their car to change some of the settings on the suspension of this BMW for Dirk Muller. And up and down the grid, depending on what happened to you in your race, they'll be doing various small changes. The driver will have been able to relay through the radio system to his boss what's actually been happening. And then you can see the rear tyres with lots of rubber on there.
And a chance to have another look there at the man who won, Dirk Muller, in that first race. Jörg Muller behind him. It wasn't like that all the way through. You were with us, you know. If you weren't, I can tell you, great start by Jörg Muller in between the two Seats on the front row. He dived through, but Dirk Muller did more than dive through. He went round them all and got into second place. He held that position with Ricard Rydell breathing on his neck for quite some time, but then made his move when he said that Jörg made a mistake, and that got him through. So certainly a very, very good race victory for Dirk Muller. And there he is, a happy man.
And there we see the engine compartment of the BMW with the new 4-cylinder engine that's in there. And carbon fibre inlet tracks going from the air intake into the engine where the fuel injectors sit, and that's Jörg Muller's car. Sponsored by Genuine BMW Parts. Moving down the pit a little bit, you get to the Alfa Romeo guys, obviously having a very torrid time, as you said earlier, because they're finishing way down in what was it, 20th and 21st place for Morbidelli and Farfus, and I really can't remember the last time they were that far down. So the N Technology guys have got lots of work to do. Farfus already strapped into the car.
He probably won't get out. He's probably that angry he won't get out.
Jingle.
Well, we're going to take a look at the man who is sitting there now, for the most exciting drivers on the World Touring Car Circuit, Brazil's Augusto Farfus. This year he'll be the leader of the team. He's only 23 years old, and we'll hear from him now.
He says, I'm not the leader, I'm the driver with the most experience, especially on this type of car.
My two teammates, Salvatore Tobano and Gianni Morbidelli, are also drivers with a lot of experience, with a good base to work, a good car. I hope to improve compared to last season. We really have a good car. It's important against fierce opposition. It's going to be a great season. Well, not quite so today. One person who knows Farfus by heart is Alfa Romeo N Technology boss, Monica Sibbs. Let's hear from her. We have a lot of experience with Augusto. During the two previous seasons, he gained a lot of experience and improved a lot. We also improved as a team with him. Now, I really believe he can really do well, especially on some of the circuits where I feel he has got that extra bit that can make him win there. Like many racing car drivers, Augusto Farfus has his little habits before getting into his Alfa, when it's behind the steering wheel. But religion is very important to the Brazilian. It is really important for me to religiously sign myself with the sign of the cross before the races. It's something that I always do because I always think of God, and it will help me and protect me. Augusto Farfus is one of the youngest drivers of the World Touring Car Championship. He is also one of the fastest and the craziest. some incidents are quite fierce. I wouldn't say that I'm crazy. I might go to the limit. Some say that I'm crazy, but I try to go to the limit. I try to get as close as possible to the limit.
Stare no limite, esse che è il mio obiettivo.
È ovvio che quando si è giovani,
it's obvious that when you're so young you have a share of craziness more than others. This is Gianni Morbidelli. To win the championship he really needs to try very hard, and things sometimes get a bit cold-blooded, but he needs to be more calm. Augusto started the World Touring Car Championship in fine fashion. He deserves a chance for Formula One, says Morbidelli.
At
the age of 22 or 23, I think that he has all the qualities to have a chance in Formula One. He deserves to drive a few laps in Formula One. I think it would be deserved because he really is a very quick driver. So a great start to the season for a man that has the talent and speed to go to Formula One. But first, he has to prove it in World Touring Cars. Well, they're getting the grid ready again. Goodish crowd yet again. David, we can see the stand-up on the far side there, and the weather's holding nicely too.
Yes, they always got a very good crowd at the World Touring Car Championship. When you've got so many good drivers of world-class ability out there and a full grid of 33 cars, you have to say that it is a big attraction. And what we've just seen in race 3 of this championship, it is still as close as ever, and it's still as hectic as ever.
And remember, if you've just joined us, a full BMW, a full British front row. So the grid is reversed. A reminder that weight is being carried by a number of the drivers, and that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage, as it showed in the last race and in qualifying, to the driver of that car we saw for a moment ago, Andy Priaulx. But we'll be getting the opportunity to have a look at some SEAT animation. The SEAT animation that was really working very well at the second race, well, throughout the two races at Monza, which saw them take the lead in the Constructors' Championship.
And you can see it hasn't taken very long for the mechanics to do their work on the cars. They've got all them fixed and back onto the circuit drivers in, and they're working their way around to position themselves back on the grid in their starting order for the next race. And remembering the top 8 have got a reversed grid, so we've got Andy Priaulx and James Thompson on the front row for the start of race 2. But you see Ivan Muller there, who finished down in I think it was 13th place.
13th place, so not good for him, because we are going to look at the sequence now, which is a little bit of a technical explanation concerning the SEAT. Because of aerodynamic configuration, SEAT has more drag if compared to BMW and Alfa. So at the beginning of the season, the SEAT Leone had been modified in the front with a new spoiler, and it, compared to 2005, is a bigger one. New configuration reduces the impact of air against front tyre and turbulence generated in this area. But the main change has been done to the car's bottom. The part of the car that last year did not cover all the mechanical parts, as radiator, engine, gearbox, suspensions and exhaust, and the impact of air with all these elements generated little turbulences that produced high drag level. To solve this problem, a completely flat car bottom has been installed under the car. All the mechanical parts are hidden, and airflows can run easily under the car without generating any additional drag. That, David, has got to help.
Yes, it does. It certainly helped them at Monza and the big long straights there, because they were as quick as anything else that was there, and it certainly helps them here as well. So that was a rule change purely for SEAT to try and help them, to try and make it a very even playing field in the World Touring Car Championship.
And now there we can see Ivan Muller. Not a happy time for him. He's still the championship leader. One doubts whether he will be at the end of today. Dirk Muller lurking now with just 1 point behind him on 15 points, and I think Gabriele Tarquini in third place with some 12 points. Yes, we're right. and then it gets down to fourth equal place between Augusto Farfus, well, the very failing today Alfa Romeo with Augusto Farfus on board, and Andy Prio, the man starting in pole position. So it's not inconceivable that at the end of this race we might see Andy Prio somewhere around first, second in the championship, which means of course he'll carry weight at Brands Hatch as well, with a little bit more success weight.
Yes, all these guys who finished near the front all carry weight most of the year, but it varies depending on how much. At the moment, Ivan Muller's got the most at 65 kilos. That will drop, I think, after this race meeting. And then you got Farfus on 55 kilos, Andy Prio 45 kilos. Gabriele Tarquini 30 kilos. Alan Menu had 20 kilos because he finished third in the second race at Monza. James Thompson 20 kilos, and Andressando Balzan with 10 kilos, and Dirk Muller started with 10 kilos. Everybody else had their normal standard weight without having to carry anything extra at all. We can see now all the cars working their way up through onto the grid. That was Andy Prio, the BMW, heading towards pole position. We've seen there that bright orange car. There's the car belonging to Tom Cornell. That's one of the Chevrolets coming up onto the grid, and the Chevrolet did very well in that last race because they finished in 9th place. They were just 1 place away from scoring a point, and that was with Robert Hoff, and Rob certainly did a very good job out there.
Well, the vice versa, that Alan Menu, it didn't go so well for him at all. He was up there, he was up and around somewhere around the top 10 places, wasn't he? Just outside the top 10 at one stage.
He was only 2 positions behind Robert Hoffett for most of the race, to be perfectly honest. It was only in the last couple of laps something happened. I'm not sure whether he got tagged with somebody, turned around, spun or whatever. I think that's what happened, an educated guess, and he went backwards, finishing way down in 19th.
So very shortly we'll be there with the second race, and you'll be with us. Fasten your seatbelts. We'll be at it in just a moment. With Leslie, my co-commentator, my name's Tony Delahunty, and we're licking our lips with anticipation that this all-British front row will be able to hold off the cars charging from behind. Will Andy Prio, despite having the extra 45 kilos on board, will he be able to make one of those characteristic BMW starts, and will the pack of Seats, perhaps in battling with the BMWs of the Müller, Jörg and Dirk, will they help in effect Andy Prio from being able to be hauled in by the other BMWs, or maybe get away? It's all going to be very interesting indeed.
It's all very close out there. The times for all the cars are all well within like half a second of each other, so no one's going to be able to sort of run away with any of the races. But certainly Andy will be looking to make a very good start, and hope that at least there'll be a couple of Seats between him and the 2 Works BMWs of Jörg and Dirk Muller.
And while we're talking, can we just talk with about Dirk Muller and Andy Prio, and the incident which involved also James Thompson, which effectively totaled the cars of Andy Prio and Dirk Muller, and put them, of course, out of any points in the second race. At fault, would you point the finger?
Very difficult. It was a very high-speed accident. We could only see certain angles of it with the TV that was involved, but there was 3 people going around the corner together. Andy on the inside, James in the middle, and Dirk on the outside. So whose fault it was, couldn't really say, but certainly it was very disappointing for the BMW boys. And that was on the second race of the season, and the first meeting at Monza last time out.
It must have been disappointing, particularly for Andy Prio. I mean, both the Dirk Muller and Andy Prio were coming up from their positions, which had been at the latter part of the grid, because, well, the latter of the first 8, because of course Andy Prio had to start in 8th place.
That's right, having won the first race, and he was coming through the field quite nicely. And Andy's very good. He knows how to finish races and score points, because that's what he's done for the last 2 seasons, to win both the World Touring Car Championship last year and the European Touring Car Championship the year before. So having won them twice, he really is very determined to try and keep hold of that title. But you can see quite a large crowd there, and somebody's found themselves on the TV screen, giving you a little bit of a wave there. Wrapped up, so it's not exactly sunny in Magny-Cours, and everyone feeling the temperature a little bit.
Temperature's going to hot up in a minute, I'll tell you. It's going to get pretty hot at the front of that grid. There's Terting there, the German driver. Time to get in, time to start addressing the thoughts of the second of these World Touring Car Championship. Effectively, it's race 4 in the championship. Next one is at Brands Hatch. You'll be looking forward to that one, David.
Yes, that's quite close, so looking forward very much to Brands Hatch. That's a circuit that very few of these drivers have raced on before, so it'll be quite interesting for a lot of them. If you're looking at these cars and wondering why the wheels and tyres have got a large glove on them, or what looks like a large glove, they're wrapped up basically, it's because these are tyre warmers. They want to try and keep the tyres as warm as possible, so they've got lots of heat in them for the start of the race. And they arrive on the side of the circuit on a trolley with a generator and a thermostat to make sure they're kept at the right temperature before they put onto the car. When they put onto the car, they're still left wrapped up, although the generator is no longer connected to them, to try and keep them as warm as possible. And only 5 minutes before the start of the race, when they have to have the car sitting on the ground, will they actually quickly take these wrappings off the tyres, wheels and tyres, and then let the car down onto the ground. And that'll be the car then ready to go whenever the officials allow it away.
We're looking at the car a moment or two ago of Gabriel Tarquini. Hope he's not losing any sleep at the moment, courtesy of the new baby there, Matteo. He said if he wins, he'll dedicate the victory. He's got a lot to do for that. Ricard Rydell just finished in 3rd spot, so inherits the position of P5 on the grid, the 3rd row of the grid, to start in 5th because of that reversal of the 8th situation. So you've got ballast introduced in this championship, you've got a reversal of the grids in this championship, all meant to balance and get the racing as close as possible for both driver, competitor, team and public.
It gives each of the manufacturers and each of the drivers a chance to win races, and it really does, because it is so close out there. We've seen that in the first race, we've seen it at the first race meeting. All these guys very, very closely matched, and they are very much nose to tail. And in the second race at Monza, it got a little bit closer than that, when they sort of started running into each other. And I'm hoping that it won't be the same for the second race here at Magny-Cours. I hope they'll keep it nice and clean, and nobody will be getting pushed off the circuit whatsoever. But there we are, the drivers getting their gloves on at the very last minute. Everything else is ready. And you can see the gear lever sitting there right beside the driver, so it's within easy reach away from the steering wheel.
Andy Priaulx, of course, has won here. He won here in the second race in the 2004 season, when it was the FIA ET European Touring Car Championship. And in that season, Dirk Müller won the first one. So are we going to get an action replay of a 2004? I mean,
it could very well happen.
Yeah, Dirk Müller won race 1 and Andy Priaulx won race 2. Well, that would be a very happy result for Andy Priaulx, who would love so much to make a hat-trick of FIA championships. Tom Coronel there.
There's the 3-minute board, and by now all the cars will have been on the ground with their tyre warmers taken off, and that's the time when the majority of the people leave the pit road. There'll be one person left with each of cars, and he'll have the jump start battery, an extra bit of battery to help start the cars just before they head off.
We're looking at drivers there looking very calm and everything else, just as if they're having a day at the office. Well, they're in the office, really. Their office, aren't they?
Yes, it is. That's what they do for a living. That's their office. Some people will go to an office in a tower block somewhere. These guys go and sit in a race car. That's their office. And they're nowhere happier than when they are sitting in a race car, because, you know, to have a job whereby you go race motor cars, it's one of the best jobs in the world. What better can you ask for?
But some drivers must get nervous, some more than others.
Every driver gets nervous. All those drivers that are out there get nervous like it's no tomorrow. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. Start of a race, always at the start of a race, the butterflies go through the stomach, and you feel like, what am I going to do? When am I going to change gear? Going to make sure I get a good start off this line to get to the first corner first. Think about, you know, if I'm further back, how many places can I make up before I get to the first corner? A lot of nerves at the start.
Well, let's have a look at the season. The WTCC season started at Monza. 2005 World Champion Andy Priaulx couldn't start better this season. Pole position and victory, demonstrating he'll be part of the battle this year.
And what we're looking at now is the pictures from Magny-Cours from the first race, where it's a quick resuming of what actually happened during the first race at Magny-Cours here.
And there we see a bunch of Seats together. Oh, and that's very together as well. Celebrate motor racing. Does it matter who wins? They're happy. And there we see Andy Priaulx, who will be in pole position. And they're the man who finished 13th, still the championship leader, but Fiat only by a point, Ivan Money. Check of the watch. Off they go on the warm-up lap. Thought we were going to have the time, but we couldn't manage to get that time in to look back at earlier this season. But we'll look ahead. Right after this break, we'll be racing. And if you're watching this with the same anticipation that I'm sure you are that we are, two British drivers on the front row, and a gaggle of Seats and a couple of very quick BMWs behind them, and another 12 laps of World Touring Car action. What are you doing when you're going round now? You're checking things, you're looking at the gauges, is that what's happening at the moment, and you're just keeping it all together, nice and calm?
Yeah, they're trying to be nice and calm. You see the cars weaving around. That's trying to keep the heat in those tyres. That heat put in with the blankets that were put onto the tyres to try and warm them up. A little bit of that heat will have been lost while the cars are sitting there for the 3 minutes before they had to start their warm-up lap. So they're weaving the cars around to try and put heat back into the tyres, because you don't want to arrive at the first corner, turn in as though you're normally flat out, to discover the tyres aren't warm, and you find out they're cold and therefore don't have the grip that you expect, and all of a sudden you go sliding off across the gravel. So these guys are accelerating and braking and weaving from side to side to try and get that to work really well.
Well, only be a few more seconds now. Gianni Morbidelli with Alfa Romeo. They've certainly got a lot to do to improve their fortunes today. And Seat, still with the lead of the Manufacturers' Championship, looked dominant again in qualifying, in practice sessions, etc. And we thought it might have been Jörg Müller who would upset the apple cart, but it was Dirk and Jörg in a BMW 1-2 as the rolling lap car peels off into the pit road, and we're all but ready into getting under the grid orders as they form up for 12 laps. It could be very exciting indeed. So, Andy Priaulx, the last 2 seasons champion, winner of the first race at Monza, finished 8th, carrying 45 kilos. Next to him, James Thompson, with one of a whole gaggle of Seats. There's Priaulx, there's the gaggle, and you see the 2 white cars just to the edge of the picture there. That's Dirk Müller, Jörg Müller. There's the green, there's the lights in the top corner of your screen. They will change in just a moment, and let's look at this start and see what actually happens with it. And away they go. And is it going to be? Yes, Andy Priaulx. Good start from him. Big swing on that corner. Gets a perfect start from Andy Priaulx. But already, I think we've got Dirk Müller. He's made up 1 place so far. He's going to make another through the inside of that corner. So Dirk Müller going, and they're very, very close together. It's a sandwich there. And Müller just got away from that sandwich. There's 1 car at least off into the gravel trap there. That was a Seat that went into there. We'll pick that up. He's managed to keep the car going. There's another car going as well, but oh my goodness gracious me, the car sideways on. Absolute kerfuffle there, but none of that bothering Andy Priaulx. And we can see Andy Priaulx at the front. He's got 2 Seats behind him, and then it's the car of Dirk Müller coming forward. And there is Dirk, and Dirk Muller at the moment. We're just seeing that car in that's Zanardi, who just made the quick turn and back onto the circuit. So there's been all sorts of excursions. There's Jörg Muller as well, and now it's Andy Priaulx is under a great deal of pressure, and the pressure coming on from James Thompson. So it's Brit from Brit, it may be, but it's Andy Priaulx in the BMW. In fourth place is Dirk Muller. Here's David Leslie.
No, it's not Dirk, it's Jörg Muller. Dirk Muller's not there. He's one of the people that had the incident and into the gravel whenever he went off in the second corner of the circuit. So we've got at the moment Priaulx, Thompson, Genet in third place, the second of those two Seats.
And there's Dirk Muller parked up.
So he did go off. He went off when it Seat. He must have had it coming together with Rydell. Rydell's missing out to there, and so is Tarquini. And that's the three main cars. There were other cars involved in that incident. I've seen one of the blue BMWs sitting in the gravel trap as well. So we've lost about 4 or 5 cars because of that second corner incident. But there we can see Jörg Muller now sitting comfortably in fourth place. He'll want to try and get past those two Seats. Those two Seats are lining themselves up to try and get past Andy Priaulx. Andy made a very good start, made a couple of mistakes. Here's the start all over again. You can see how quickly the BMWs take off the line. There goes Jörg. And Dirk was struggling a little bit, and as they come here, that was a bit of a squash. There's the Seats getting involved now. They touch, and that takes off. What happened is Dirk turned to try and miss the incidents as they were turning themselves around, 3 of the Seats, and the BMW went off to the inside to try and miss that. And I've got a funny feeling it hit something, and that's what it wasn't a Honda. Sorry, it wasn't a BMW. It was a blue Honda. Number 23 that was. That looked like Pierre-Yves Cortal with the first of the Hondas.
So let's sort out the leaderboard then. It's Andy Priaulx from James Thompson, from Jordi Genet, then it's Muller, then Das, then Tarquini. Farfus up there in 7th place at the moment, and we've got also the other Muller at 8th place at the moment. Ivan Muller, the championship leader. That championship not under threat, that lead not under threat at the moment from Dirk Muller, because Dirk Muller has stopped on the circuit after that going off. But looking at the front of this, it's still Andy Priaulx. Andy Priaulx up front, but is he going to be able to stay clear? Because those Seats in the sandwich, in the BMW sandwich from Jörg Muller, are chasing hard after him. With 2 of the 12 laps completed, about 6/10 of a second the gap between the first and second place, and James Thompson there trying to get after Andy Priaulx. And Andy Priaulx will be hoping that they can keep Jörg Muller at bay, because Jörg is carrying no weight at all, and Andy Priaulx is carrying 45 kilos. It's a big ask, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of weight to both accelerate out of corners and to try and brake and slow down as well. And then you can see the gap between those first 4 back to an independent BMW, and this is looking back to Nicola Larini in the Chevrolet. And I'm trying to think who's that's in front of him. I think it's
Robert Hoffer and Larini are running together with the 2 Chevrolets at the moment, and they're running in 9th and 10th place. But Priaulx on that lap, whether James Thompson's got enough attention by his teammate Jordi Genet on him, I don't know. But he's opened 4/10 of a second on that lap. So Andy Priaulx at least being able to benefit from that. And at the moment, it's Jörg Muller who's having the problem, and that is a bit of an explanation in itself.
And that was Zanardi who got spun round there at the hairpin. So he's just trying to get himself going again, and they really are. Oh, that's what went wrong.
Zanardi sort of muscled off the track there. And
that was 2 of them gone off.
And there's Dirk Muller, who was a very happy man before, now be a very unhappy man.
And that's Rickard Rydell standing in the pit lane, so he's no longer taking part in this race. So what was a very good start, unfortunately, has turned into a nightmare for some of these drivers. I'll have to say that's what happened in the second race at Monza as well.
Well, Jörg Muller had a little look down there to see if he could get past Jordi Genet, but if anything, these 2 Seats are well, not intending to, but are protecting the lead at the moment of Andy Priaulx, because they're not really getting that much closer to him. It's still stayed on that lap as 9/10. We're a quarter race distance in now. We've just started the 4th lap of the race, and it's still up at the front, Andy Priaulx, and he's a man who knows how to lead a motor race, you said, David.
Yes, he's led quite a few of these races, won quite a number of them, and he'll be concentrating very hard on just going forward. He's seen he's got a little bit of a gap between himself and the people behind. He's using every inch of that circuit right to the edge. We're using. There you are, one very dejected Dirk Muller watching on. He's at the far side of the circuit. He can't really go anywhere. But Andy managing to get away a little bit. This really will annoy Jörg Muller. Jörg will desperately now want to try and get past these two Seats, but getting past one's bad enough. Trying to get past two is much more difficult.
Let me tell you one man who's having a little bit of better news, and that's Ivan Muller, because he's now up into 6th place, the championship leader, so he's benefiting quite a lot from this race. But Jörg Muller is really trying very hard to get past these two, and they almost came together.
They did, and that was an overtaking manoeuvre, and that was Genet going past Thompson. So Thompson now in 3rd place, and Genet moved up into 2nd. And I think you know, it was what looked like a defensive move to start with turned into a positive mood for Genet. And this is what happened. This was Genet came to the inside to look down the inside, and yeah, there he goes. That was him going past his teammate.
And if Genet is quicker, now we might see if Thompson holds up Muller, we might see Genet able to get that little bit nearer to the race leader. So Andy Priaulx could come under threat here, because already Genet is starting to get a little bit away from the car behind him, and that little bit nearer. I'm looking to see what the gap is next time we get it up on our watch, and I think it might be coming down just a little bit. And there we look from Jörg Muller's car. For the moment ahead at James Thompson, and it'll be maybe a little bit easier for him to get past James Thompson now, but he's got to make that move soon if he's going to hope to win the motor race, because he's going to need to gain ground on Andy Priaulx. And you can already see the gap opening up. Jourdain Genet, right, is up there as well, and looking at that there, 5 laps completed. That was a dive for the inside. He's going to make it stick, so we've got to change now, and that was the move that we were expecting, and it's happened now. So we have got a change on that leaderboard, and it's Muller who has made it. He made it through there, and well, it's not before time. He needed to make it with 5 completed.
Yes, he really did need to get past James Thompson. James seemed to be the slowest of the 4 cars at the front, and he had a very good overtaking manoeuvre to get past. James tended to get a little bit wide, but he was hanging in there. Unfortunately, couldn't hang on to it.
But there's still one more of the Seats to go through, and we're just picking up on that one, as well as some damage done to the car that we saw go through there, David.
That looks like Tarquini's car with the damage at the front. He was one of the people who was involved in that incident at the start of the race. And you can see now the cars further back, and that's Stefan D'Asti really pressuring Rob Huff now, and that's for 8th place.
Stefan D'Asti getting nasty.
He doesn't normally he's pretty good. He's an independent. He has to pay for his own bills, repair his own car, so he tends to look after it a little bit.
Purely playing with words, David, purely playing with words, and not with words, with actions right at the front of the field. But there's Ivan Muller, and Muller in 6th place, so in the championship points on a French circuit, the only French driver in the championship. But looking at the front of the field again, it's showing 1.3 seconds between Priaulx and Genet. Thompson, of course, has been displaced from that. But we're on half race distance now, and we're on board with Ivan Muller in 6th place, but he's got a lot to do yet, and we'd very shortly be concentrating back on the front of the field. But I can tell you at the moment that front position of Andy Priaulx has not changed, but there is a battle in there behind. It's showing 1.4 seconds to Jourdain Genet, and then you've got Jörg Muller just a little bit off the pace there, not off the pace in the challenge if he can get up to Jourdain Genet and get past him. But there is Andy Priaulx, concentrating very much on the road ahead, and they're the battle just behind him. And there's Jörg Muller with Genet, the next car to try and get past, and James Thompson's fallen a little bit further back there at the moment, but James Thompson, who was on the front row of the grid, still very much amongst the championship points. But it's Andy Priaulx looking to double the number of race wins he got last season. He got 1 last season. He's looking to make it 2 this season, and at the moment it's looking like it might well be what we said would be an irony, because in 2004 the situation was that one of them won. That was Dirk Muller won the first race, and then Andy Priaulx won the second. But we've got a long way to go yet. Is that likely to happen? They're still fairly much close together, the top three cars. And Andy Prio now will be checking his mirrors, just keeping it all together. The gap is staying just about the same, and that will please him.
I think the race has sort of settled down a little bit, and unless somebody makes a mistake somewhere, then it's got to be very difficult for these guys to catch each other or pass each other, because they are just so closely matched out there. And we started this weekend with a whole stack of Seats at the front, unless he waved yellow flag for some reason. Somebody somewhere had gone off down in front of them. There it is. There's a car sitting in the gravel trap on the inside. We can see that from the onboard camera of the second place Jordi Genet there. And as I said, there was a stack of Seats at the front of the grid. Seats very, very pleased with their qualifying pace, but they knew the BMW was always going to be a nightmare when it came to the race. They knew it started very well. They knew it was going to be difficult to beat in a race situation. So while Seat have managed to get their qualifying sorted out, they've still got a little bit of work to do for the race situation.
Let me pick up on where it's starting to happen now. 1.8 seconds, not between first and second, between first and third, between BMW, from Andy Prillo, who's carrying 45 kilos of weight, from Jörg Muller, who is not carrying any weight and who finished second in the first race. In between them, the Seat in the sandwich is Jordi Genet, but from 2.2 seconds a lap ago, it's gone down to 1.8 seconds. So Jörg Muller very much on the case as I speak at the moment, and there's the sight of him. In front of him, Jordi Genet, the leader in front of that. That's Andy Prio. 7 of 12 completed. They're on the 8th lap, and let battle commence, because it's going to commence very fiercely, very soon indeed, because I think that these two might well be able to get right on the case of Andy Prio. My goodness gracious me, this is, you could cover the second and third with a blanket. Andy Prio just, if you like, out of the shade of that blanket at the moment, but he could get hauled back into it. 1.287 seconds it was a little while ago between first and second, but of course at the same time that Jordi Genet can look at the car of Andy Prio in front of him, he's got to be very conscious in his mirrors that Jörg Muller is right behind him. Falling off that pace now is James Thompson, and it is certainly between these three.
Yes, it is. These two have managed to ease themselves away. You can see there James Thompson in 4th, Tarquini in 5th, and Ivan Muller in 6th place, some 12 seconds back as Ivan. But these three still up for the lead. They've done 8 of the 12 laps now, and very, very tight indeed it is.
It's a long season. I mean, we're looking at Jörg Muller there. When does he make his move here? I mean, is he going to be saying, okay, well, I might just be happy, I've got good points from the first race today, I've got to have good points from the second race today, or would you see him making the move fairly soon? Because if he's going to go through, and have a real challenge to win this one, he's got to do it soon.
There you've seen Genet have a bit of a wobble going into there, and sure enough, one little wobble, and there's the opportunity, through. And Jörg goes through. And I was just about to say that these guys won't wait for anything. If they have an opportunity to go through, they will. And you know, they're not going to wait till the last lap to try and take second place. And there it was, he's through. And
well, we have BMW from BMW.
Not very happy. He's just dropped back a place into third.
We saw BMW from BMW in the first race, and we saw a switch. We saw the one that was in the lead of the other one change, and then the honour went to Dirk Muller from Jörg Muller. So is Jörg Muller now going to hunt down yet another Jörg Muller victory, or can Andy Prio hold him off? Now that you can see the BMW separated from Jordi Genet Seat, you can see the gap opening there. So it's on him, as they would say. It's definitely on him. 1.2 seconds, 9 completed, last quarter of the race, and Andy Prio has somehow got to pull all the stops out. He's carrying 30 kilos more than the BMW driver behind him. Can he hold him off, David?
And this is the overtaking manoeuvre that happened through that chicane. Genet got a little bit wide onto the brakes, didn't get the car turned in, and Jörg just took that opportunity to dive down the inside, and that got him into that left-hand bend first. But he made a little bit of mistake through the first corner and has dropped a little bit away from Andy Prio, but still they're hunting him down.
So the big question on the crowd watching this race. Can Andy Priaulx hold off? Well, it's 2 seconds, the gap from Jörg Müller. We did all sorts of arithmetic last time, and we found David Leslie to be the mathematician par excellence in working it out that it couldn't possibly be done. This time it could be done.
Oh, very easily. You know, they've got another 3 laps to go in this race, and it's quite easy to make one small mistake. As you've seen Jordi Genet make a mistake, and all of a sudden he lost second place, dropped to third. And you can see there James Thompson in the background. Further back there is Gabriele Tarquini, and then Ivan Müller and Peter Turting in 7th place. So basically your BMW's first and second, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Seat Leons next up. The only one really that's missing out of that group is Rickard Rydell. He's dropped out. He obviously had a problem. And
Alfa Romeo followers, Augusto Farfus, well, he's dropped back a little bit. They had come up the field somewhat. They're now in 12th and 13th place. Yerima Badelli in 13th place there. Balzan, who's leading the Independent Championship. As we see a change there, and that straight through, and Turting was the man who got through, and the man who has to settle behind him is the championship leader at the moment, Ivan Müller. And Ivan Müller, I think that's going to relegate him to 7th place. Yes, it is, to 7th place. But as that move is made, we concentrate again on a monitor that you cannot see at Magny-Cours, and that is the monitor where they're looking at now. They're seeing the position of the leader, and there is the leader. It's 2.3 seconds from Jörg Müller to the gap is opening. It looks as if Andy Priaulx not only has got the pace, but maybe that Jörg Müller has spent what he had in hand, because he's not, now that he's got past Jordi Genet, he's not now hunting down the man who's in the lead of the road race. 10 of 12 laps gone, so they've just got the 2 remaining laps of the race. There's Andy Priaulx, and he's looking good at the moment, but as you say, it's never over until the fat lady sings.
Yeah, that checkered flag has to drop, and you have to go past it before you can actually say you've won. Things can still go wrong, mistakes can still be made, and Andy will be concentrating very hard on what's going on in front of him in order to make sure he makes no mistakes, doesn't hit any curbs too hard, doesn't launch the car, doesn't suddenly let it step out sideways. But there's the move further down. That was for 6th and 7th. Peter Turking has got past Ivan Müller, and then right behind those two is the 2 Chevrolets. The first one of Robert Hoff, and right behind him Nicola Larini. And then first in the independent category is D'Asti, who comes up in 10th place, and right behind him is Roberto Colgiago, who we didn't see in the first race, but we seem to have lost Tom Cornell. He obviously had to come together with somebody. He's dropped down to 16th overall and 3rd in class.
But still the leader, Andy Priaulx. Jörg Müller in 2nd place, so is BMW 1-2. There is Rickard Rydell's car. We saw him standing somewhat disconsolate in the pits earlier on, a very early casualty of the 2nd race, but we're not talking about casualties as we go on to the 11th lap with Andy Priaulx. And I don't know whether there's been a little bit of a closing up there of no, 1.876. Yes, a tiny little bit of the closing, but I don't even need David Leslie's mathematics to tell me that at 2/10 a lap it's not going to get close enough. So we would need a mistake or some form of a malfunction on the technicals of Andy Priaulx's car to let the 2nd place man Jörg Müller get closer to him. Jordi Genet dropping a little bit away now. James Thompson still holding on to 4th place. Tarquini and Turting in 5th and 6th place before we have Ivan Müller. So they buzz around. They buzz around like bees, the Seats, don't they? They look like a load of bees buzzing around the place.
It could be the colour, that bright yellow colour with the blue and the red on it as well.
Yeah, as we saw on the technicals, flat-bottomed bees.
Yes, that's right.
11 laps completed.
And behind them, the 2 Chevrolets, they've swapped places now, and Nicola Larini has got ahead of Robert Hoff for 8th. So Nicola Larini will be scoring the last point in this race for 8th place.
And Alan Menu, of course, carrying 20 kilos of weight. He's in 14th place. And the leading Alfa, as we said before, that of Augusto Farfus, is in 12th position. 2 BMWs, then a Seat, and it's a man looking to win his 2nd race of the season. A man who wants to win the 3rd consecutive title, make it a hat-trick of titles from Guernsey. lived for a long time in Towcester, near Silverstone. His wife Jo worked at the Silverstone circuit. I'm sure she's watching him with great pride and great hope at the moment too, because there's still a little way to go. Last lap though.
I think everything will be crossed, the fingers will be crossed to get to the end, to try and stay there in that first position.
Andy Priaulx then, bringing the car round. He had a 140-mile-an-hour accident, and the other reciprocant of damage in that accident was the man who won the first race here. And that was Dirk Muller, out of this one, cruelly out of this one. But Andy Priaulx, who finished in 8th and got in that position to have pole, started well from that pole position. It looked for a while like he might be threatened, and we wondered if Jörg Muller had got through. We don't know what would have happened if Dirk Muller had got through, but we wondered if Jörg Muller had got through like he has, whether Andy Priaulx would come under threat, and threat he may be under, but he's bringing it round. They are a little bit closer together, another 0.4 of a second chipped away by Jörg Muller, but it's just a question of keeping it just there, keeping it right, and David Leslie just checking each corner as they go through, and Andy Priaulx just making it certain that he's got it together, got it right, got it on the island, making sure each corner the apex is right, the braking point is right, etc. And not, I would imagine, looking too much in his mirror. He doesn't need to look, because he knows that not too far away is Jörg Muller, and there is going to be the checkered flag and a delight on the pit road, and it's BMW 1-2 again. But they can probably hear him cheering in Guernsey.
I would think so.
And a few other places as well, I would have thought.
A very good result, and starting on pole position. But there's James Thompson coming across the line. He's in 4th place. He started in the front row. Still got a very good position out of it there, with Tarquini coming home in 5th and Terting in 6th, Ivan Muller in 7th, and that's all those 5 Seats finishing behind the 2 BMWs of Andy Priaulx and Jörg Muller. And Team GB for Andy Priaulx, and now you see them
Andy Priaulx
slowing down lap coming in.
Oh, I think we'll go into he'll go into the lead of the championship, won't he?
He will. With the points scored, he will go to the lead with 21 points. Second in the championship will be Van Muller with 18 points. Third in the championship will be Gabriele Tarquini with 16, and then equal to that is Jörg Muller on 16, and then we come down to Jordi Genet on 14 and James Thompson on 13.
But Andy Priaulx, the man who has had 2 FIA titles, and the one that sounds the greatest and the grandest, the world title.
That's
Tell us who that is. Tell us who that is. She's not in Guernsey, she's over there.
That's right, that's Andy's wife Jo, so a very happy girl indeed.
Well, Andy Priaulx, no doubt, absolutely delighted. Yes, you are. Yes, thanks for that, Andy. Well, I'm not going to blow you a kiss back, but there you go. And the junior Priaulx, absolutely, thoroughly delighted all through the family. Wife Jo pushing her way through the crowd as well. Not so delighted, the man who drove that car. He was earlier because he won the first race, but he was sidelined very early doors in the second. So there you are, the official results. Andy Priaulx finishes in 1st place, then Jörg Muller, Jordi Genet, James Thompson, Gabriele Tarquini finishing in 5th place, and Terting finishing 6th place there, completing the top 6. 7 and 8 scoring points. Ivan Muller, who was the leader of the championship, and a little bit further down the likes of Alain Magny finishing 13th. Balzan, who I think still heads the independent championship, or there or thereabouts, because Tom Coronel scored good points today. Balzan scoring some points in that second one. I think Tom Coronel might actually have gone into the lead. Maybe not, maybe very close indeed, but we'll perhaps have confirmation of that a little bit later on. So the rest again inside Parc Fermé. A double BMW, a BMW firing out an answer to Seat that what happened in the second race, where not one BMW finished in the top 10 at Monza. Well, 2 did, 1st and 2nd in each of these. Another good crowd. There was 45,000. Not able to furnish you with the figure of what watched here at Magny-Cours in the Nevers region of France. And there is the points tally. David Leslie, my resident mathematician and all-round good guy, have already got that for us. 21 for Priaulx, Van Muller with 18, Tarquini with 16, level with Muller, with Jürgen Muller, and Dirk Muller 15 up there. And there you are. Balzan will have 5 points, and I'm thinking that he scores those today. Larini and Zanardi scoring in those points as well. And the independents, it could look a little bit different, but time to hear from the man who matters most at the moment. Who better to hear from than Andy Priaulx?
Andy, that's what you call a smart weekend. You hung on to 8th position of race 1, started first of the second race, and victory on race 2.
Yeah, I'm delighted because with 45 kilos of ballast around here, it's really hard, and over the race distance it really hurts the car. So I knew that I needed to make a good break, a good start. I nearly gave away all my advantage in the 4th corner with a big lock up into the hairpin. We made some changes to the car and it improved the car but changed it. But I'm delighted to have finished the second race in 1st position. I don't know where I am in the championship, but probably big ballast for Brands now.
Well, there you have it. You're first overall after this second round in Magny-Cours. That's a hell of a satisfaction so early.
Yeah, well, that's a great surprise, but I'm always thinking ahead, and that means big ballast for Brands Hatch, which is going to be a shame, but we'll fight hard, and hopefully we can carry weight all season, because if we're carrying the weight, that means we're doing all right.
The pressure's on all your rivals. Already a second victory this season.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's only going to get more difficult with the ballast. I didn't expect any more wins. I was happy to win the first race with everybody on equal weight at Monza, but to win another race is great. I mean, last year it took a long time to win, but two so early is absolutely amazing, and great job for BMW because they've built a great car and they're giving me the tools again.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
They're going to call him, aren't they? Big Ballast Priaulx or something like that.
He does have a lot of weight to carry now when he arrives at Brands Hatch. So he's quite happy to carry it, because if he's carrying it, then he knows he's doing well and he's scoring lots of points. And that's what makes a difference in this championship, is trying to go out there and scoring lots and lots of points at every race meeting.
And now let's find out from the man who finished second, Jürgen Muller.
Jürgen Muller, almost the perfect weekend. Victory race 1, second position of race 2. You're the king of Magny-Cours.
I didn't win the first race, but it's all right. I had 2 second positions, which is very good if you think about the fact that you don't have to win races to win this championship, because it's always due to weight situations. I'm happy with 16 points, I think. Brings me up into the championship because I arrived with 0, so I'm happy guy.
A word on the fight with Jordi Gene. That was one of the key moments of the race.
Yeah, it was also the fight with James Thompson. Both of them were doing a very good job. It was clean racing. I just got a very bad oversteering when I passed Jordi. I came into the curbs on the inside, and my car got completely sideways. I was lucky that I catched it. Hopefully you've got some camera shots from that, because it was completely side to side. But it was good and clean fighting.
And a completely different story compared to Monza. You're now third overall.
No. Thank you. Thank you, Magny-Cours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, there we are. This is a little bit confusing. All the Mullers to realise who's first and second. 3 in a championship's bad enough. None of them related.
It is confusing if you don't know the difference between the 3 Mullers, Jörg, Dirk and Ivan. But they're all very accomplished drivers.
Jordi, a good weekend here in Magny-Cours with this third position. A good result for Seat, but BMW really looking strong out there.
Yeah, BMW was very, very strong. It was a good result for Seat, but honestly, I think we expected a little bit more than from this weekend. It's good that this year we need a lot of points. We have to fight for a world championship, so any point is important. But we should have been a little bit higher up in the positions.
Would you say that the difference was made at the start with the BMW rear power system, making them have a better start?
Yeah, but this is something we know. They have 2 advantages in front of us. One is the start. They always start 1 or 2 places. They always get back 1 or 2 places, and also the tires. They can push all the race and they don't destroy the tires so much. We have problems from mid-race on because we attack much more on the front tires. So these are the 2 handicaps we have, and particularly, especially, I did good starts, but my tires went down a little bit by the end of the race.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jordi Gene there. I mean, looking on to Brands Hatch, David Leslie, who's it going to suit more, the BMWs or the Seats?
It's a very difficult circuit for all the cars. There's a lot more twists and turns in some of the circuits they've been to so far. Certainly they started off with 2 very quick circuits with Monza and Magny-Cours, and having not seen it before, I'm not sure what's going to happen when we get there.
Well, let's look back on how it happened. And Andy Prio in pole position after finishing 8th in the first of the races. He drove to perfection, didn't he? Got away. He said he knew that carrying the extra weight, he'd have to work very hard, the 45 kilos. He did. Jörg Müller got through, but not through him. He got past Jordi Gene, but was unable to decrease the gap too much. And Andy Prio driving to perfection, heading perhaps for a 3rd FIA championship. Won 1 race last season, notching up those points. He's won 2 already this one. The number 1. That's the number he's after. And he goes in the lead of the championship to Brands Hatch. Well, the crowd have undoubtedly enjoyed themselves. Fabulous racing. I mean, more pressure than a lot of changes, and one still wonders what might have happened if, but it's an if, isn't it, if Dirk Muller hadn't been eliminated in that second one.
There's always lots of ifs in touring car racing, because that's what makes it so exciting. There's so many different incidents happen throughout a race, and you can see the different manufacturers there, Seat, BMW, then Chevrolet coming up. Alfa Romeo having a very poor weekend by their standards, the highest place there, 12th for Augusto Farfus. But absolutely fantastic racing all the way through the field. Very, very fast indeed, very close racing, door to door. And we've seen 1 or 2 incidents, certainly the incident in the second corner, where a couple of the guys had it coming together, and unfortunately Dirk Muller tried to miss it going to the inside and spun and into the wall, and that was the end of his race. But there you see the drivers talking between each other before they go out onto the podium. There's that little room just behind the podium at Magny-Cours, and they'll come out in reverse order. So in 3rd place comes Jordi Gene.
And Jörg Müller for the 2nd time today will climb on the 2nd step of the rostrum. I thought he was going to give him a kiss then. He wasn't. Word in the air. And applause for Jörg Müller. Big smiley face behind him. Smiley face of his own, of course. And then, well, we know the tune that comes next, don't we, David? And we love to hear it too. And to climb on to podium 1.
And that's for the 2nd time this year, and that's Andy Prio very, very happy indeed to have scored a 2nd win this year already, so early in the championship, when he won the championship last year with only 1 win for the whole season. So there he is on that top step.
And we should in a moment be hearing the national anthem. And a very, very, very pleased Andy Prio. I bet, you know, he might have thought, I'd love to come out of this meeting as the championship leader, but it actually took him by surprise. He hadn't done the calculations yet, you know. Perhaps he wasn't thinking that way, but he is the championship leader.
He is, and there in for the independents is Diasti, who's standing there.
A different independent winner. the fourth race of the World Touring Car Championship, the FIA World Touring Car Championship season at Magny-Cours. So he leads the championship on its way to Brands Hatch on the 21st of May. Jordi Genet, his own delight in picking the trophy up of third place. Crowd all the way up and down the pit road to celebrate with the victorious. And the victorious, as far as manufacturers are concerned, the edge definitely to BMW. The first two cars count towards manufacturers' points, and they've got the first two cars in both race 3 and race 4 of this season.
That's right, and it's a big turnaround for BMW. They had a bit of a shock at the first race being at Monza. They didn't do so well, but they managed to turn it around here in France at Magny-Cours. And there we are, presented with the winner's trophy for Andy Priaulx. One very happy young gent indeed, who's managed to suddenly put himself at the top of the championship table, as well as actually winning the race.
Well, we're going to be, obviously, Eurosport will be at Brands Hatch, giving you all the very, very best of the action. I'm sure you've enjoyed, and certainly I have, along with David Leslie, who knows of moments of excitement like this, some of the excitement of this race meeting. BMW do it with first and second in both. Andy Priaulx does it after that 140-mile-an-hour crash at Monza. He again stands right on the top of the podium, and he leads the championship. Congratulations to Andy Priaulx.